Welcome to a new episode of the Surprise Multiplayer Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ossie Monroe. Today, along with my co-hosts, Jeremy and John, we spend time looking back at 2023. We reminisce about some significant achievements, key milestones, and other aspects we feel contributed to a successful year. Join us as we reflect on what went right, what went wrong, and each of our plans for improvement in 2024. As a reminder, we can now be reached for feedback, suggestions, and questions at banterreviewcrew@surprisemultiplayer.com. Hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Yeah, so I thought it would be fun at the turn of the new year not to do resolutions, not to make bold claims, but to sit here and talk about what went right, what went wrong, what we're looking forward to doing. Not so much like just a retro, just a good conversation about our lives and what went well. I'm having trouble myself already. Was thinking coming into this, was thinking about what went wrong, but that's because I guess I'm a little too optimistic. So yeah, should be a fun conversation. So let's go. I'll start with you, Ozzy. What went right? How did things go in 2023? Came out of a pandemic a couple years ago, and then things seemed to settle into the new normal in 2023. So how was yours?
2023 was a good year, I gotta say. In my personal life, a lot of things happened. My wife and I became empty nesters. The young one went off to college, Wisconsin, repping the school there. And the one thing that I realized is that I was excited about this phase of life, which doesn't mean I don't miss my girls, but I try to enjoy the phase that I'm in, and I was looking forward to it. I did a little preparation, like about a year before she went off to school. I started really thinking about what this next phase would bring and preparing for that. My wife and I talked about it a little bit. It's very easy to get lulled into like this comfort zone in marriage. And we talked about reshaping how the marriage looks, what we do, like making sure we spend time together, making sure we have our own things. Because once your kids leave, there's a void now, right? You have to fill that void. And I think it's important to make sure that you're carefully splitting that and balancing that time across whatever you want to do, whatever you want to balance it across, right? Your career, your personal life, your self-improvement efforts. So last year, I came to the conclusion that the thing I would do for myself is to get back into golf. And we talked about it on the episode before and focused a lot on that. But I also started focusing a lot more on a career and self-education, self-improvement aspects of the career. We also talked about it on one of the other episodes, started reading a lot more. Jeremy introduced me to some cool apps, developed a little bit of a workflow, which has helped me a lot with that aspect. So those are all things that went really well in my personal life. In my professional life, there's tons of things, right? If we just take it back to the personal for a second, I'm doing this podcast. Right. that
I can't use that now.
No, I know. I think we all can, to be honest. Rewind a year ago, and if you just said to me, "Hey, you're going to be doing a podcast a year from now," I would have been like, "What? Get out of here." So that's been fantastic. Professionally, got named the deputy CISO of the company. That was a big move, a really big move. Got on to my second board of directors at a company. And what else happened? Think about that. Yeah, if I think of something else, I'll come back to it. But just to summarize it really quickly, 2023 was a fantastic year. I am, in my opinion. That's not to say there weren't like trials and tribulations, but I have a different sort of approach to how I view those things now. So
one of the things that I think people don't give enough credit is luck and then capitalizing on luck. But it sounds like a lot of your changes in 2023 were pretty intentional. Was there a lot?
I was going to say,
I'm asking that question.
Lucky.
I know. Just busted his chops.
But it seems like you made a lot of intentional choices throughout the year. Was there any luck that you took advantage of at the same time? Okay, this fell into my lap, but I was in the right place at the right time, or I had the time because I carved things out. The reason why I say that is because I think there's a good balance of those each year. And it's interesting to hear about where those happened to you and how they shaped that year?
I think there's a difference between luck and good fortune. I think
Okay.
luck is, and this is just my interpretation of it. Luck is just something that you stumble upon. Like you found a lottery ticket on the street and it was the winning numbers. That's lucky. But if I'm on a beach and I have a metal detector, I'm always combing for like metals and I find a big diamond ring, that's sort of good fortune because you've put work into you put yourself in that position and you put work into getting to that position.
I like your
So,
differential. I do the same thing. I just think it's capitalizing on luck versus not. But I like the way
right,
you say good fortune because it was what you did beforehand that created the situation.
right. So I think all the things that happened to me, they were good fortune. I don't think they were luck. I got on this podcast because I've maintained a relationship with you. You guys were doing it before and you asked me to come on. Got named deputy CISO because of all the hard work I put in. Got on that second board position because got into a conversation with the founder of the company at a conference I was at for the other nonprofit that I'm on the board of. I don't see those things as luck. I see them as good fortune. I think I agree with you completely. There is luck involved in a lot of things. It just so happens that these things that happened to me this year didn't have to do with luck. I'm not saying that I've never experienced luck. I've never just stumbled across something, but it just so happens that the things that happened in 2023 were just good fortune, not luck.
Awesome. That resonates with me, and I like the differential, like we said. But there's more. When you go back and you look back at the year, was there some downsides? Was there some things that came out of left field and just bonked you around that you were just like that you turned into a good fortune because hey, even though it went wrong, we can make it right because had the opportunity, you had the time, you had the experience to do that. And I think that's interesting. I think that's a good thing to set up for, and it's a different type. It might even be an opportunity that you didn't even know was going to be there.
Yeah. So there were things, there were a lot of little things, no big things. And I have a tough time answering this question because we were talking about this before we started recording. I have switched my mindset on a lot of things in life. Excuse me. When I'm up against a tough situation, tough times, I flip it to this is a learning experience. It's all a learning experience. And I think we talked about that with Jen when we did the mentoring session with her. They're all learning experiences. That's how I view them all. So have a hard time thinking of what went wrong and what was tough. Of course, there were tough times throughout 2023. It was a very trying year, some of which I can talk about, some of which I care not to. One of the tough things of 2023 is I took up golf. It was one of the great things, but it was one of the trying things. And it took, as much as it was a recreational thing to do, I put a lot of pressure on myself because I'm very competitive with myself, competitive in nature, but competitive with myself. So I put a lot of work into getting better. And when I didn't see the results, put more pressure on myself. And now I've my approach to it a little bit. But that was as much as it was supposed to be the relaxing thing for me to do, that was tough. So that's all I can really think of right now. I got to be honest. I don't want to be that guy that's, yeah, life is great. There's nothing wrong. There's tons of stuff, but nothing big enough where I would sit here and talk about it like it was a major point in my life last year.
Well, okay, then great. Then let me ask you this question. What was the theme of 2023 looking back? If you were to go back and say there's a story arc, a theme for 2023 for Ozzy, what was it? And then the second part of that question, is that going to carry forward with your intentionality to 2024? Are you going to change the theme? You're looking to manipulate it or throwing it out and see what happens?
I got to say the theme for me it has to be growth, professional and personal growth with all the things that just
Okay.
rattled off that have happened. That's all been part of my personal and professional growth. Does that carry into 2024? Of course. Growth is
Let's see.
always my mindset. Listen, when I say always, it hasn't always been that way since I was much younger, but in the most recent years, I've focused a lot on growing myself, both as a person and as a professional. So it's always going to be growth. But this year, I think I pushed the throttle down a little bit on the growth and started to apply a little bit more towards both sides, professional and personal. And I think that maybe has to do with kids are off the youngest one is off to college now. Now I get that time back. I'm able to really put more time into building myself out and becoming the person I want to be. So I think growth 2023 and growth moving on.
Okay, so you're going to continue the growth theme to next year. Is there anything you're not going to do? Is there anything you're going to go, you look back and you're in the review cycle and say, I spent too much time on that and it wasn't, I didn't get the ROI. I don't want to spend time on doing that. I want to eject that part of work I was doing and say, no, it just didn't matter to me enough.
So I'll give you one in the weeds thing, and I'll
Hmm.
give you one more strategic sort of thing that I want to cut out. The in the weeds thing is really just getting in the weeds at work, like becoming more of an executive. You and I talk about this a lot. Learning how to become an executive is important, learning a lot and pulling myself out of the weeds. I think I've done a really good job of that in 2023. I'm going to continue that in 2024. The bonus to pulling myself out of the weeds and not getting as involved is it gives the people around me and the people under me an opportunity to grow and have them think through things on their own, give them autonomy to make decisions on their own. So that's been, I think that's a work in progress. I think I made some headways in 2023. And that's going to continue to be area of focus for me in 2024. And the thing that I'm not going to do that's a little bit more strategic is, and it's something that I have to constantly do, is stop being so hard on myself. We talked a lot over the different episodes on about imposter syndrome. And that's a big focus for me. Not so much the imposter syndrome, but cutting myself some slack when it comes to being confident or lack of confidence, having a lack of confidence and, and giving myself credit for all of my accomplishments, the amount of work and effort it took to get to the position I'm in now. So that's something that I'm trying not to do in 2024 or trying to do less, let's say, because I'm not going to say not do it because those things are hard, right? Cutting it out completely is hard.
But if you could do that, you need to bottle it up and sell it because a lot of people need that. Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a constant thing. It's an effort to get better in those things. Let's flip the table a little bit. Let's go to you. I feel like the lights are bright
I
on
was
me.
gonna
The
go
lights
the
are bright on me.
backwards way to John and ask John the exact opposite. What does he want to do? But I'll do me. I don't mind. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, so let's go with what you were thinking. Let's go backwards. Let's go. What are you not going to do in 2024 that you did in 2023?
Oh my God, so many goddamn things. So many stupid things
I
I
can think
did.
of a lot of things I won't do.
Most of those decisions are made. I still haven't decided, but I'm not. So I learned of I'm going to talk around this. I'm sorry. I just can't help myself. Is that the idea of themes are something that you can't fail at. It's an idea that I like because it's like a arc in a story that you can always work within but yet be a direction to follow through. And so I haven't figured out my theme going forward yet. Last year was a massive change of a year for me. I was impacted from a layoff. I've started my own company, building all of that up, starting to change my public persona. Did that with family, kept everybody still good in place. So yeah, it's been a very positive, good year. And then I haven't figured out what I wanted for this year, the theme, that idea that I want to thread through it all. If I'm leaning towards two things, one is balance and trying to still maintain balance that I had with some of the like I had in 2023, which was a good being available for my family, time, reading, being all those things, while still being able to spend the time to do the podcast, build the company, grow it, find more customers. Like I said, join more boards, do more work out there without sacrificing the things I want to do that I find fun. So I'm leaning towards balance, but I haven't quite settled on it yet. And the reason being is I don't know if balance removes enough optionality from me. I like ideas that tell me what not to do more than what to do. And I don't know if balance is going to be a good cleaver to remove things from my life so that I can still have enough time to focus on the things I care about the most.
I gotta say, I'm absolutely floored that you don't have a theme like for the 2024. Because if you'd have asked me and I would have bet a lot of money on that, I would have said, no, geez, it's all planned out. Here's a theme. It's written down somewhere like in a manifesto or
Yeah.
something.
It's as much it's a thing that it's got to be useful to me. And as much as I want to have one, until I come to the decision that it makes sense and I'm there, it's not there. And it doesn't, I'm not going to go force it to come out and sit there and focus and try to drive it forward. But it hasn't landed. It doesn't like balance isn't it. Because that's the idea, but it's not enough. So I'm still looking for that next bit. I'm looking for refining it more. And it will probably come while I'm doing something weird, walking and reading at some point in time or listening to another Warhammer 40K book. And I'm like, wait, I like this. And bam, a new thread will pop up and that will go forward.
Or being
But
on a
but you,
flight to Phoenix.
Oh, yes.
but you said so just want to clarify one thing. You said you would prefer figuring out what not to do anymore. And I get that. That's why the balancing doesn't work for you because it balance can remove things, but unless you intentionally decide to remove things, it doesn't just automatically remove things, right? It can just spread things out.
Right.
Exactly. So it leads in the reason why it was a good balance year because a lot of things were thrust upon me in 2023. 2024 is all me. There is no thrusting. There is no choices. And I know my propensities are to spin too many plates, to do too many things, to carry too much water. And if balance is it, I'm like, I could see myself justifying, hey, I can balance all this. Sure. I can do another company. I can do another thing. I can do another, and I can't. And I know that. And I need a way to focus and remove optionality from me. And that's where I am.
John, how about you? Let's stay on the same theme here. Like what for 2023, I guess 2024, like what are you looking to not, what went wrong in 2023 that you're looking to remove out of your life? Don't
Yeah.
say the podcast.
No, definitely not. I think 2023 in my life, it was interesting. I spent the first half of the year with two children under the age of 5. And at the middle of the year, a lot of things changed. My daughter started going to kindergarten. It was very much now I'm going and actually have to participate in school events. Before it was daycare events, and it's a different thing now that there's a community of people that I'm literally my children are going to grow up with. And we started the younger one, my son. He's about to turn 2, and he started walking, becoming mobile, and basically my house has been just living chaos for 9 and 10 months. And yeah, I realized that I definitely have some pent up OCD because I have to go behind them and pick everything up and straighten it, or else I'm just a miserable person because the kids are destroying a perfectly nice house. And I have a lot of respect now for my parents. No, but in reality, the things that I wouldn't do again in 2024, I spent a lot of time just not being not giving myself the opportunity to be like relax or take a step back and don't worry about work, don't worry about just what I call the daily mental checklist of things that you as an adult need to be worried about, and enjoying being, Jeremy, I think you said it in the pre-show, just alive, healthy, living under a roof, etc. And definitely more present. Ozzy used that word, trying to be. And I think my theme it's the first time that I've thought about themes in my like years having this discussion. I never really did that. And even planning for the year, it didn't, I don't, not that you guys are surprised. I don't plan much of my life. It's like rolling chaos. But for me, 24 is health. Like I want to become healthy. It's been, my daughter's almost 6. It's been about 6 years since I would consider myself healthy. And I need to get to a place where I I feel comfortable with my daily routine, because right now for me it feels very much like work, children, sit down at this desk, etc. The podcast didn't help with that, but it's a lot
No.
better.
Yeah.
I, I think the podcast is one of the hobbies I didn't expect I would spend so much time enjoying. But back to what you were saying, John, like when you sit there, like your health, is there the reason why I'm asking this? Is it something you want to change, or is it something you want an outcome? Is it are you looking for a goal, or are you just
Both.
unhappy? What's up? Okay.
Both. Yeah. So I since after the holidays, I've started watching what I eat and doing a lot more things just better. And I want to be able to set an example for the children. But more importantly, I recognize the lifestyle of being a parent of young kids and having a desk job, and it is not good for your health.
Mm.
And now that since COVID, I don't really travel anywhere near as much as I did before, thankfully. But part of that and part of living and traveling in a city was my daily exercise. I used to walk 10 miles a day.
Yeah. Wow.
10 miles a day. I actually went back in my Apple Health data. And for me, it's gone from 10 miles down to 2. And a lot of that walking it's up and down stairs, but it's not what I would call anything that is cardiovascular. It's not like getting the blood pumping type of walk. So yeah, for me, definitely health. The outcome, I would like to feel healthier, look healthier. I haven't set like a particular goal, but I have a whole bunch of shirts that don't fit, that are in the closet, that fit before the pandemic.
When you look back at the last year, we talked a little bit about letting things go, but is there something that you saw, like when you had that transition, you have kids running around and they're going to school. Is there anything that triggered like, nope, I need to focus on like the OCD, cleaning up and all that stuff, but that forward thinking motion, because that was a big one for me when my kids went to a school and went to somewhere where it forced me. I'm like, holy shit, I gotta actually plan. And it was school that did it more than having kids, because schoolmen, it was real.
Yeah,
Kids were
yeah.
just, oh wait, my wife does so much and didn't change much.
That's a great point, and you're absolutely right. So having a single child and then having my son, the biggest change was just the exhaustion, just because 2 kids is exhausting, and I couldn't even imagine more. But when my daughter started school, or even preschool, but school, there became the weekly structure of after school activities and different events at the school. And then doing the PTA, I go and do some of the PTA stuff at my kid's school, do the field trips and things like that. And it was actually a nice structure. It was nice to have these things now that, well, I hadn't had up for that for a while. The change to my mental planning, thinking ahead, I haven't actually gone through that yet, because my wife handles all that. And she gets frustrated at me because my brain isn't there half the time thinking about that kind of stuff. I don't think that way. And she's very good about that. She keeps me organized.
I think I understand that completely, because my wife is in New York City and not going to be home and see her until next Monday. And I had to do the ungodly Wednesday drive for her.
You showed me
35
that.
35 minutes, 5 stops twice in reverse direction while taking my daughter to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in the middle, finding times to walk the dogs, and then coming back and saying, put yourself to bed, kids. I got to go do a podcast.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
The first part is wild. So that's the thing about that changes, that has me even worried even more, right? Because not that I can't do that, right? That's actually, for me, having structure like that gets mentally, it gives me an out to not to have to sit down and think about work or think about a problem or think about. So it's good for those things. So I actually think that'll improve my life.
Awesome.
I'll warn you this. Now that the kids are in school, that's when life goes into hyperspeed. When you have kids, everybody says to you, listen, enjoy it. It goes by fast. Doesn't really go by fast until your kids get into school. When they get into school, it is, oh my God, like it is going to be year to year. And you're like, wow, like I, the, from my daughter, my youngest, who's now in college, you go back to when she started school, when she was like 4 or 5 in pre-K or in the nursery program, to now is a blur to me. It really is a blur. It goes by so fast. And then you have to set your expectations, right? Because when they get to the school age, yeah, you do get a little bit more structure, but then you're going to find yourself maybe more tired, right? Because you have a lot of stuff. And it's, I guess you're tired now, right? When they're younger, it's just a different,
I'm always tired.
it's just a different type of tired because now you're thinking about, okay, well, my daughter has basketball today. They have that little science fair in school. They have this activity, that activity. And you find yourself context switching across all the things, the responsibilities you have. So I found myself like drained because of that, which is part of
That's
the
my
reason why.
daily life. Like I'm used to the context switching, and it's probably not good for me, but it doesn't surprise me anymore. But I do have to say, this last year went like extremely fast for me, and I do think it's because both of my kids were in school this year, and my son's in daycare. But even with that, I blink and I'm like, holy shit, 6 weeks went by.
Yep.
And I had a brother who got married in November, and I have another brother getting married at the end of March. And I remember thinking, which in my head was only a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, wow, I got 6 months before the next wedding, and now I'm fucking like, I have to go get fitted for the tux, and it's like within, and it's crazy. Yeah, there's got to be a name for that what your mind does, but yeah, time doesn't change.
Doesn't change, but I love the explanation. When you're 10, a year is 1/10 of your life. When you're 50th, it's only 1/50th. It's such a small slice on top of it that each one just gets smaller and smaller as your total percentage. And it's just a lot of it you've already experienced. So there's not that much new and novel.
Mm. The
I'm,
sad part about is that the longer, the older you get, the more you want to spend in that
yes,
moments. Those
youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah, I had that when my daughters were young. I had the conversation with them. I said, listen, I'm going to tell you this. My dad told me this. Every parent talks to their child about this. When you're a child, you're racing to like get through your years and get older. And then you're going to hit that point in life where you're going to be now trying to
27.
pull yourself back. You're like, no, this is going too fast. I want to go back. I want to go back. So just try to enjoy the time you're in. And my daughters nodded. Yeah, well, that's a great analogy. I get it.
I didn't do that.
I don't think they did it. I don't think they
Does
did
anyone
it.
do that? I
I
mean,
don't
I
think they
did
did
not
it.
do that.
I didn't do it. I don't
No.
think even when I talked to them about it, I don't think they did it. We all realize it when we're past that mark, right? When we're all like clamoring to slow down life.
You know who did that? Charlie Sheen. Sorry.
And I'm trying to violently disagree. I had to get it in.
One of those things that came out of nowhere. I don't even really fully understand what you meant by that, but it was funny as hell to me.
That man enjoyed every
Uh,
part of his life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe not now that he's got AIDS, but
Does he?
yeah, he's got HIV.
Oh my
I
God. I
had no
didn't
idea.
realize that. Oh,
No idea. That got serious quick.
yeah. Wow. Okay. Thanks. Buzzkill.
Sorry, we can cut this part.
Yeah.
So
So-
one of the stranger things of 2023 for me was I can't watch TV anymore. I just can't do it.
I
It's
do, but I've changed my. So I'm known. I watch a lot of news. I used to watch a lot, and I even took a job at a company because I like media and news. And yeah, I stopped watching news as much as I used to in the past, and because now it just makes me fucking angry. I'm a I know my mood changes whenever I watch the news, and I'm trying to watch less and less of it. But like since I was young, I always watched the evening news.
Mine is a little more different. I can like you put on a TV show, I can't do it. I'm not interested. I
Oh,
just
I
can't.
am. I'm a
I can't.
binge, but I could do 3 things at once. So I
I
could
can't.
read my phone, listen to the TV show, and have a conversation with my wife.
So I can't anymore. I can't anymore. I used to be able to, and now I have to challenge myself. If I do
I
put
got
a
a couple
show
more
on,
years.
I got to challenge myself to put the phone down. I almost treat it like I'm at a restaurant with somebody and I put the phone down and face it
Oh yeah.
down. So I'm not
Do you?
looking at it. And yeah.
So there are some shows or programs I do that with, and anything, honestly, anything like documentary or something like that isn't fiction or cartoon or whatever. I try to put 100% focus to it. But something like a Marvel movie or something on YouTube that my kid's watching, Bluey.
No. Yes, I've
Uh,
been there. I'm glad I
yeah,
passed that.
I can. Yeah, I don't care about those, but yeah, there are things that I have to put the phone down with because I want my attention. I want to enjoy it.
I'll tell you if you really want to focus on watching a show and paying attention, get a foreign language show where you have to put the subtitles on. You know how many times I'm watching that and I get on my phone and it's like in French or something. And then
Uh,
20 minutes later, I'm like, oh, rewind.
so
Cause I missed the whole plot because I wasn't looking at the subtitles.
my wife doesn't listen to the podcast. Do your wives listen to the podcast?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
You're right. I'm not going to bring it up. So my wife doesn't. So I could talk about this. She puts the subtitles on for everything, and my OCD, I have to read the subtitles. If it's on, I got to read it. And that for me, that's the news. Like the fucking ticker at the news, it's driven me crazy. But I have to read the subtitles to the point where I'll be reading the subtitles and not watching the movie, and it'll be like 3 or 4 seconds behind, and then my audio's fucked up in my head, or the narration of the fucked up with my reading. So I turn subtitles off, and I even go to the extent of disabling subtitles if I can in the app because she leaves it on.
Yeah. Everywhere I go, my daughter turns on subtitles.
Mm.
And it's I walk upstairs, the TV, they're on there, Netflix, YouTube, and I'm like, God damn it, because I do the same thing. If there's text rolling and
I
flashing in
read
front
it.
of me,
I gotta read it.
I can't not read it.
So
I
that
was-
being said, I haven't watched too many movies that are foreign this year.
Listen, that's a way to break yourself out of that habit. If you watch in like TV shows or a movie, I don't watch too many movies that are a foreign language, but a lot of shows that are foreign language shows and turn the subtitles on.
Some of the best shows I've watched in the last few years have been foreign.
Yeah.
So I can think of a few. We don't need to go down that road. I watch too much TV as it is.
We got to do a whole episode on TV shows.
Yeah.
Like exchange our our top 5 or some.
I watch one TV show.
Well, Jeremy just has one then.
What is a TV show?
What is a TV show? Jeremy's 5.
Yeah, I could start. What's a TV show nowadays anyway? What classifies a TV show?
The British version of Taskmaster. It's my favorite
I've never
TV
watched
show.
that. I do watch British version.
Just dumb, simple. Every episode stands alone. No continuing arc, but you still get to learn a little bit about a comedian's kind of perks and personality traits. But nothing matters. There's no goals. There's no points. It's just fun. And if it goes off, who cares? If you don't pay attention, who cares? But it's the only thing I generally watch. And I love watching it with my wife because it's the thing we can both watch together. Most of the TV she watches makes me angry. Most of the
Give us an example.
Yeah. The Challenge.
What is that?
MTV, The Challenge. Real.
That's
Oh,
MTV. I
wait.
already don't watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
already off the list.
So she's going to, if she knows that I admitted this publicly, she will find me and murder me.
It's not gonna be that hard to find you.
No,
Right.
it will not. Be. She's out of town this week.
So
So
there's the answer.
okay,
There's the answer to your question on if
I
Jeremy's wife
answered
listens to the
already answered
podcast.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
already answered it. So yeah, so my wife watches a lot of like, trash TV, like Real Housewives of Kentucky or whatever, and it's and the Southern Charm one. And unfortunately, I have to say, I start getting into those fucking shows. It's
Oh my
bad.
God. I was waiting for the open
I'm
spot to
fucking.
admit.
It's bad. It's bad. I'll be sitting there. I'll be like, "What's that motherfucker doing now? He banged her last season. What's he? Why they bitching?"
Oh
And I'm
my
just like,
God.
"Dang, this is fucking bad."
We just over the weekend, my daughter hasn't gone back to school yet, and she put on
Southern Charm.
Love Island season 1, and I'm sitting there and I'm on my laptop and I'm doing something, and I start like listening a little bit, and I start paying attention. And I'm like, wait, I thought he was with her, and then I'm just
I got to tell. I got a story I got to tell, and hopefully none of my family members. I don't know if they listen or not. This is going to be hilarious if they hear it. So college years, I'm coming back from school. My brother, I have 3 younger brothers, and one of my brothers was still in high school. And coming home from school, college, 6 weeks or whatever, I lived very close. And I used to come home and fall asleep, and I've never slept good in my life. So we wake up in the middle of the night, and it's a thing that happens often, to the television playing, like being on one of those channels. It's women that murder people, like the murder mysteries. And
Dateline or one of those
no,
shows.
no, like the trashy murder, like stuff, like the channels, the true crime channels, where it's talking about every single person that's ever killed anyone.
Yeah.
And I realized over the course of that year in college that my brother falls asleep to those. And it's one of the brothers getting married or coming up. So I don't know what that says about my brother, but yeah, it was really weird.
I can't say anything. I fall asleep listening to Warhammer. So
That's
I have
true.
no-
You do
I have.
fall
I can
asleep.
say
Oh my God.
nothing. I can say nothing. I can say nothing.
That's true. I just fall asleep. I just lay down and I'm asleep in 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah, my sleep routine is the New York Times crossword.
Sudoku sometimes.
I pick it up, and then as soon as I start to nod, which is
Yeah.
probably in about 15, 20 minutes, because I take my CBD gummies
Those things are awesome.
without THC, CBD gummies
That's awesome.
with lavender and melatonin. And
Oh, those are good. I've had those. Yeah.
those things really work for me. So I pop 2 of those, and 15, 20 minutes later, I start nodding, I'm out.
You wake up feeling good after one of those
Yeah.
too, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah. It's another thing I've done is focused on my sleep a lot more, my sleep habits. Not
Yeah,
in 2023, but over the last couple of years, I've focused on it a lot.
I have CPAP, and a lot of people that I know that have done sleep studies and have been requested or should have gotten a CPAP did not, or they don't stick to it. That thing has been amazing for me.
Dude, have you ever watched Joe Coy? Joe Coy is a stand-up comedian. The guy he's funny. He did this live shows on Netflix. I think it was in LA. He did a stand-up show, and he did a skit about sleep apnea. It was probably the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Dude, you just gotta
I have to go search that.
watch it, right? Put it, if you like Google it on YouTube, you might have shortened versions or whatever, but go on Netflix, find his live from LA. And if nothing else, just fast forward to the sleep apnea part. It is hilarious, dude. I almost, every time I watch it, I damn near piss my pants. Anyway, we should digress and finish talking about what went well for you guys, because we didn't get to that part. Like, what do you think went well for you in 2023? I'll let you go first, John.
Yeah, I think I talked a little bit about it. I think my daughter going to school, starting school for us, definitely changed. Well, it changed a lot in life, but also it's a good thing. It's freed up personal lives in some ways and other ways not. But that went really well. I think Professionally, yeah, it's for me. I don't. Again, I think one of the failures of me not planning is also not doing well. Look back on what went well. Professionally, I had a lot of new teams, new responsibilities that came to me, and well, my boss. I don't know if my boss is listening. Hopefully not. I think it went pretty well. No, it went really well, and a lot of new products and new interesting things that my team has built and is building. Like very happy with the where my team started and ended this past year. Professionally, going to what went wrong, I think there's a lot that goes wrong. I think at a macro level, though, right, being in the incident management / operations space, shit always goes wrong. But at a macro level, I don't think there's a lot that actually went sideways for me. I think there were things that happened that had to get corrected, but overall, the thing was positive professionally. It's hard to look past the exhaustion, but it was a good year.
How about you, Jeremy? I know you talked a little bit about some of the challenges you had to go through
And
professionally
those,
in your career.
that's not interesting to me, actually. As the external things, the parts that I'm enjoying the most and what I took was I'm back working with the people where I enjoy working with the most and this podcast. And so one of the things that I've mentioned before is I don't have a lot of hobbies. They pay me to do my hobbies in computers and technology. So I don't have a lot that isn't work driven when I want to relax and think about. Podcast has been a huge outlet. Working again with the people that I enjoy working with the most at work has been awesome. So in every way, shape, and form, it's been nothing but a great year. There's challenges. Some of them I can't talk about because it's just timing and I have to wait. But I'm seeing some of the fruits of all that kind of work its way through, do the right thing, execute against it, and make things better.
So the person half your size kicking your ass, is that a challenge or is that a
Oh,
plus or a bottom line?
yeah. Well, that's the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu I
Wow.
started. We can talk about that, but the fact that it's Wednesday and if I lift my arms up, I might cry is all I have to say to that. My neck is so goddamn fucking sore. My legs are sore. My arms are sore. Yeah. So I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 2 Mondays ago. The first one was apparently they were very nice to me. And then the second one was they put a 120-pound when wet kid to kick my ass for an hour.
It's not gonna.
Let me ask you this. What was your first time like the trial class where you don't sign up yet?
It's like
just
where
come
he
try it
signed
out?
up on the form.
Yeah.
It's like,
No.
I was
He
here,
said-
Jeremy Rossi.
Just the first class is listen, you come the first time, there's no contract. Just come try it out. They worked him out. It was all nice. They treated him nicely. And then he signed the contract. And they were
Uh,
like,
There's no contract. There's nothing like that. They do have my credit card, but it's a free month beginning of the year. That was the how to get parents in is come on. So they emailed all the parents of everybody that has a student there. And they're like 1 or 2 will show up. And I was one of them.
in January,
I promised
right
my
after the
daughter.
holidays.
I promised my daughter when she signed up, I would do it with her. That was 2 years ago. And I never found the time. And
She
this came
reminds
out-
you.
Oh, yes. But now she won't let me show. So I went to go pick her up, drop her off at jiu-jitsu today. She's like, when are you going to do 2 days a week? And I go, I'm too old for 2 days a week right now.
Ooh.
so are you doing your class with her?
No.
Is she in the class? Okay.
No,
All
it's an adult class. She's in the teen class. And so, yeah, we're at different times. But she's 12 years old. She doesn't want me to show up and even see her at class. She's like, you can wait outside until it's your turn to come in. I'm like, I'm allowed on the mats. And she's, no.
And I got to be honest, I don't know that you want her there while you're in class.
No,
From what
she'll
it sounds
humiliate
like.
me.
Right.
She'll humiliate me.
She'll
It'll be
hold that
good
over
fun.
for you forever. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that and that's one of the things I'm changing. But like the rock gym, I've always tried to do a little something, but it's really easy to find reasons to not do it. So the rock gym closed down and I didn't do anything with that. I could have driven an extra 20 minutes, but I didn't sign up for the membership. I didn't go do it. You know how that is. It's just like, go do
I
it.
think I told you I was going to do that at some point.
Yeah, you did.
Never
Yeah.
I think you even said it on the podcast.
Yeah, you
Uh,
did. You did. I think it was before I joined. You guys were talking about rock climbing. You said
Those
you
were the
would do it.
days that we don't think about.
But yeah, the The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is really close. There is no excuse. And they also started a morning routine. So they will have no games from 6 to 7 on Mondays and Wednesdays. So I'll probably, once I'm no longer at least get to the point where I can not be hurting this for 3 days afterwards, start going to on Wednesday mornings on top of 2 Monday nights.
Nice, nice.
Have they have you tried any remedies for muscle hurting and things like anything other than just time? Oh.
Advil. Yeah.
Like
Well,
like cold plunges, cold showers. They for me it worked.
no, I just suffered and bitched to my wife and acted like a big pansy.
Stretching. Stretching really helps.
I
Yeah.
didn't know you could be sore here.
Yeah.
But you can be when your head's
Well, yeah,
pinned on
when-
the ground.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you get choked out, that
Yeah,
happens.
when there's a 120-pound kid on your neck, like or his legs are clamped around your neck.
Right.
Actually,
It's
they
a
can't do
very-
that.
It's a very, yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
I think-
2023, good year. It sounds like
Well,
across everybody.
Yeah, so one thing, and I think we all made the conscious effort, but of not talking about things that are outside of our control, outside of our personal and professional lives publicly. How do you feel about the state of everything other than those things in your life for 23?
When you say
Everything other than what you can control, your personal lives and your professional lives.
politics.
yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to tease out of him. Like,
I'm trying. Well, I'm trying not to guide us one way or the other. I'm thinking like the state of the world. We could talk politics. We can, but I don't want to talk about anything specific. I'm looking for your stream of consciousness.
I'm probably less cheery outlook, optimistic when it comes to a lot of the other things that are going on in life. The older I get, is the more I learn about politics and the way things were. I think when you go back to the 2016 presidency, it uncovered a lot about government and politics that I didn't know. And I think that all of us just took for granted, like the amount of things that are just really not hard rules and laws. That's just, it's not ethical to do this. You shouldn't do that.
I think the flip side of that coin is that time brought to light a lot of things public that have been happening privately forever in politics, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's probably it, right? It's probably not so much that whether it's a rule or not, it's that politicians may not care to chase something down when it's widespread and other people could be doing the same thing and it might implicate a lot of others. So maybe that's it. I don't know. But and that also weaves in a little bit into, and you said this before, John, how you don't watch the news anymore because it just makes you angry. And we've talked about this in previous podcasts, how you guys have asked me, like, where do I get my news from? And I was like, I stopped reading news. I stopped consuming news. I still consume it, like stuff that kind of flashes by my life. And I consume it that way, but just purposely consuming news, I stopped doing it for a long time because it's maddening. It's sad. It's frustrating. It's a lot of things. So, and I think that still applies. It's still a current day for me personally. Like, I think
There's too much noise.
there's a lot of noise. And then that's the other frustrating
Way too
thing.
much.
There's it takes effort now to really sift through and figure out what's real, what's not. Even if you're not getting your news from Twitter or we had the conversation about going to good sources, right? Even from the good sources, sometimes it takes a lot of effort. So I don't want to say that's not going well because that would go against my sort of cheery outlook on life and positive outlook on life. But I'm a little numb to a lot of that stuff now, unfortunately. How about you guys?
I'm 2023 was the year I did much of the same, but I was doing that informally for years before. My viewing is highly unchanged about society. I think it's easy to get caught up in the moment. I think it's easy to understand it only for the context that you see today. But the more I read, the more I look back at history, the more I think it's just another precipice, not a new precipice. And I don't worry about it. I can't change it. I can't fix it. I can't do anything about it. But I do spend more time with programs, organizations, and people that I care about. And so if you ask me what I did different, is I was starting to select for who I want to spend my time with. So, and that's something that kind of came through before, is I'm glad to be working with some of my favorite people to work with, some of the people I choose to be a part of programs I want to be a part of. And that's how I think of that. It's not so much what's happening around me. It's about how can I find the people I want to have a conversation with and talk to them about whatever the fuck we want to talk about. And it sometimes might be news, sometimes it might be whatever, in focusing on that, because that's where I get my joy. And that's where I get my happiness and sense of belonging. I do, but that's also why this is a hobby I want to do, because it's with people I like and want to hang out and talk and have conversations and be cerebral and all that bullshit that I love. But yeah, that's what I've been focusing on, is not the news, not the story, but the people that I care about, shrinking the group smaller and making sure that everybody in that group's worth talking to.
Very well said. I guess I've been doing that also subconsciously. I've never really had a conscious thought about it, but through the D&I work, through getting involved in other sort of organizations, that's an aspect of surrounding yourself around types of people and good work that you want to be involved with. So, yeah.
Yeah. Be around the people that are going to do outcomes you like and agree with. Avoid the
Yeah.
ones you don't.
Yep.
How about
I
you,
think
John?
that's 2023. I think there's a lot of things that in 2023 that unfortunately I think the bad outweighed the good socially. Wars and
Completely agree.
people losing their jobs, so many things. I think it's, for me particularly, it was a good year. I got to do a lot of cool things professionally. I saw my kids grow in my personal life. Family members got married and babies be had. Well, not yet, but I'm sure they will. But yeah, I think personally, I'm trying to find a balance between how my internal barometer feels that I'm informed, but also make sure that I'm not reading like a partisan information source, because I care about the facts, the news, etc. And as you said it earlier, it's not easy to discern what you're reading if it's paid for by so and so's campaign or whatnot. And yeah, honestly, I, I I only really trust something unless someone next to me says, "Yo, no, that's actually something real." Which I have several chats of close confidants that I'll like, "Oh shit, that's a real paper."
When they're in those
Oh,
chats,
God.
do you have confidence where you do the opposite, where you're like,
Oh,
oh no.
absolutely.
Yeah,
One,
Well, I
one
have
particular.
the close confidants that are the sage wisdom soothsayers, and Mike's been on this podcast, so we can talk about him. And then I have the opposite, where I need that crazy in my life to have the barometer say, "Ooh, stay away from that. Don't go there." Yeah, I got both.
Nice.
Well, I think we're getting pretty long on time, but I'm going to ask, when we do this podcast in 2025, looking back in 2024, what do you want to think about in the
Dude,
podcast, and
Not
only
turning 40.
hold on a second. Like,
Sorry.
this is getting scary, because I was going to say, all right, listen, to wrap this thing up, I was going to pose a very similar question. When we
Great
do
minds.
this again, when we do this again, my question is a little bit different, so maybe we can answer both of them.
No, let's
When
do
we
yours.
when we do this again in 2025, you look back and you say, 2024 was the best year ever because blank happened to me, or because I did blank, and fill in the blank.
For me, I'd say I feel like I'm living a healthier lifestyle. And yeah, I think that's it. I feel like I'm living a healthier lifestyle.
I don't know how to answer that because I think I'm already on that trajectory. So some of the things I can't talk about, I can talk about it by then. But
No, but you could say, listen, my personal company is now 100 employees. X number
Oh,
of
the year?
clients.
yeah,
That would that would be the worst thing for him. What are you kidding me?
that means I done messed up. No, I mean that. Well, no, then that's a good.
That's actually
that's
a good thing. Yeah.
No, I can't think of anything I would sit there and say other than to continue on, because everything is getting better, incrementally and improving, and that's all I want. I don't have as much as like I present, like I'm always driving forward, pushing forward, having plans, thinking. Incremental improvement's all I want. And that's it. Constant trajectory. One of our friends told it to me years and years ago, and it never, ever left any of my thinking. He goes, if you have a North Star, doesn't matter which direction you're going. You can turn left, you can turn right, but you can always eventually get there. Doesn't matter if there's a mountain, doesn't matter if there's a river, doesn't matter what's in front of you. You know where you're going. You have to make turns. The only thing you should be not doing is walking away from it. And so if you ask me, the only thing that would make me unhappy is in 2025, I come back and say I had to walk away from where I wanted to go.
Mm.
And that's, other than that, everything else I can deal with.
I like that. I really like
I
that.
like that a lot too.
Yeah.
I do have to say, 2025, I hope we have more than one live podcast from Phoenix, Arizona.
Well, we got to ask Ossie the question. I want to get Ossie's answer. 2025, fill in the blank.
I would say right now, the one thing that I would say would make 2024 really successful for me is if throughout the year, over all of the times where I've been put in a situation where I had to socialize, network, go to a dinner, go to, John, you and I talked about this in the last podcast.
Yeah.
My daughter is saying there's sorority dad tonight, like all those types of situations, right? If I come close to breaking even 50-50, where I'm not just completely want to shoot myself in the head, thrown up in my own mouth when I think about those things, then it's been a successful year for me.
Sorority dad's night.
Listen,
I
that
don't
maybe
even know
I
what
would
the
have
word-
asked your daughter, like, what part of you think
maybe that one falls on the other side. Maybe that one doesn't make the cut. But no, I really want to work on getting better with that, getting better with those sort of introvert impulses. Listen, along with everything else, along with continued growth, like I said earlier, and all the good things, I love your North Star concept or analogy. So all those things put in there. But I think if I look back on 2024 and say 50% of the times where I had to go to a dinner or whatever, I was okay with it, then I think I'll feel really good about 2024. I got invited to a dinner tonight that's going to go down in like next month in February. And the minute I get invited, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll be there. So step one.
Yep. Got to put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
129 or a minute 29 second lap time in Laguna Seca?
I don't remember that track off the top of my head, but yeah, I think
I
that's...
do, because I was spent yesterday beating your lap times.
My PlayStation's up in Vermont. I don't even have a wheel hooked up.
Someone's playing Fortnite all the time.
My son, he's got a PlayStation in his room. Yeah. So, I think we're good for tonight.
I think we're good.
Yeah. Good combo.
That wraps it up for this episode of the Surprise Multiplayer Podcast. As always, we thank you for listening and hope that you'll join us again soon. As a reminder, any feedback, suggestions, or questions can be sent to banterreviewcrew@surprisemultiplayer.com. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.